On this episode, we speak about divine conversations. Communicating with spirit is so major. Meditation is truly medication. Tune in as we chat with Christina Danielle, mother, author, and CEO of Did You Pray? Gain wisdom on how to gain wisdom, what to do with answered prayer, and much more right here on LifeClub. I'm Tashima Jones. Welcome to LifeClub. I genuinely believe personal development unlocks the door to the abundant and wonderful life we all already have. I also believe we must be intentional about seeking out that life in order to find and fulfill it. I am so grateful your journey of discovery has led you all the way here. Let's keep moving forward together. Once again, welcome to LifeClub with me, Tashima Jones. Welcome. Super excited to have you here. You are tuning in to a LifeClub with me, Tashima Jones. As promised, today's show is just as wonderful as any other show. We are speaking about divine conversation. It is so important, so vital for us to stay connected to spirit. Prayer and meditation serve as a sure foundation in my life, and I truly believe it should be for everyone. Today, we are speaking with Christina Danielle, mother, godpreneur, author, speaker, and #real person. Born in Brooklyn, New York, she has endured various situations that could have taken her out. Having a firm foundation in God, she turned to what she knew best to better her life: prayer. The owner and CEO of Did You Pray? She created the brand to remind herself and others what to do when they forget what to do. Christina Danielle believes that spirituality is about the relationship, not the religion. She believes if God can turn her mess into a message, we are all closer to transformation than we know. Christina Danielle has published a book, Fervent Prayers for the Purpose Woman, with 2 to be released: The Interview and Did You Pray? Prayers for the Purposed Man. She also hosts a podcast entitled The Christina Danielle Podcast. Without further ado, I welcome you, Miss Christina Danielle. How are you?
Hello. Can you hear me? Am I good?
Yes, you are good on the ones and twos.
On
yes.
the ones and twos. We're going to make sure we got this right.
Yes. So happy to have you with us. Now, everyone goes through this. This is our rapid fire rounds of questions. The same 7. Are you ready?
I'm ready, Tashima.
All right. So up first, what is your favorite color?
Purple. Color
Okay.
of royalty.
You ready. She ready. She is ready. All righty. How do you stay healthy?
I move around a lot. So I think just being active and just moving around, that's really how I stay healthy. I will not sit here and tell a lie about eating healthy, but I do move around a lot.
Good stuff. You got that blood flow going.
Yes.
What song best describes your life?
I have to choose one song. That's so tough. So I'm going to pray for permission to give you a combination of Intentional by Travis Green.
Okay.
And Masterpiece by Jasmine Sullivan.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All righty. When do you feel most like yourself?
I feel most like myself when I'm in my purpose of encouraging and inspiring others.
Good stuff. Yes. I always say the same 7 is like a whole interview in itself. If you could go anywhere in space and time, where would it be and why?
Ooh, anywhere in space and time. I'd stay right where I am right now. I'd stay right where I am right now, not to be stagnant, but to be in the moment so that I can move forward and help others move forward as well.
Yes. Nothing like the present, right? Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Don't be afraid. God has such an amazing plan for your life. And I know it's hard and I know it hurts, and I know it's uncomfortable, and I know you don't understand it. But do not be afraid.
Let's just breathe on that real quick. Yes, do not be afraid. And last but not least, in your own words, what is the definition of life?
Definition of life is God. As long as God is the center of everything, that's life. And it doesn't mean that it's perfect, because as it says in the word, the weapon will not form, the weapon that's formed against you shall not prosper, but it never said the weapon wouldn't be formed. So as long as you have God, you're good. You're great.
Yes.
So, God.
And let the church say amen. Yes. All righty. So we're going to dive right into our conversation. Divine talks, divine chats, divine communication. As I mentioned earlier, having that connection, having that communication with the unseen, the invisible realm is so vital, so important. If anybody is an avid listener of LifeClub, hashtag Life Code. I need to write that down. Yes. Okay. Let me bring it back. That's good. Life Code. Yes. Let's make a mental note of that. Okay. So if anyone is an avid listener of Life Club, you know that whatever we experience in the natural is definitely birthed in the spiritual. And that's one of the major reasons why I feel like just having a prayer life, having, this space of meditation is so important and so vital, because we need that. We need that to live this life. We need that to move forward. I love the fact that you speak about relationship and not religion. I love that you have been, in the short time that we've connected with each other, been so transparent about just your personal journey and your personal walk. Share with our listeners part of that personal development that you've experienced in your own life.
Wow. So Tashima and I, who we met, what was that, Saturday that we met?
No, I think it was Friday
that we met.
Yeah.
And we literally had, I don't know if it was even a 5-minute conversation, and it got so deep. And my personal journey, for those that don't know me, I lost my mom at a young age. I lost my mom actually at 15 years of age. So for any lady or woman or female, your mom is a person that, rears you into being a woman. So I didn't know how to be a woman. I went through the shelter system. I was a teen mom twice. I've dealt with physical and verbal and mental and spiritual abuse, being shunned away from my church, and all of these things that at that point in my life, or those points in my life rather, I just didn't understand. And I really was like, God, I don't understand why you would do all this to me. Like, what have I done so wrong that I have to endure all this pain? And so I became a very angry person. And I think we don't talk about the anger. We don't talk about the hurt. We try to hide it, because I know I hid it for a very long time. And I just act like I was just tough. That was it. I was from Brooklyn, and I'm tough. That was it. But it was because I was angry deep down inside. I did not understand what God was doing. And so after, being a mom and, seeing my children are my biggest blessings. I thank God for them every single day, because had it not been for my children, I may not have been alive, because I've had suicide attempts that people don't even know about. And at some point you pray and you say, God, please just explain this to me. I don't understand it. And me talking to God, and not even just talking to him, but listening back. Because sometimes we talk to God and we're looking for a specific answer. We're looking for him to say something specific. And if he doesn't say it that way, or he doesn't say what we're looking for, we close our ears to it. And allowing myself to hear what he was saying taught me that all of that you went through is for this. All of that you went through is to strengthen you, because I've got plans for you. Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the plans that I have for you, plans for you to prosper, not to harm you. And so I made a decision that I no longer wanted to be the angry person. I no longer wanted to live that tough thug life, or whatever you want to call it. And I made a decision, not even just for myself, but for my children, because I wanted to be the woman that my daughter would model and the woman that my son would marry.
Yeah.
And that's so important.
Say that again, girl. Say it again. Say it again. That's like
I made
a
decision. Yes, I made a decision, and my children will tell you I wanted to be, and I believe that's why God gave me a daughter and a son. Because I never understood. Well, God, how are you gonna get me pregnant twice? I don't even twice you gonna do this, right? But it's because I made a decision that I would be the woman that my daughter would model, and the woman that my son would marry.
Yes,
and that's so important that we be that person for our children so they can see not what TV shows them and not what these music videos show them, but real life. I have real life conversations with my children, and we have prayer together all the time. And that's why prayer to me is so important about the relationship, like I spoke to you about, and not the religion. Let's get away from the religion. Let's get to the real root of the problem. And until you have a relationship with someone, think about, two people in a relationship. They talk a lot. They have conversation. You're the first person I talk to in the morning, the last person I talk to at night. Are you doing that with God so that you can get the answers that you're looking for in your life? Are you having conversation with him throughout the daytime so that he knows that he's relevant in your life, so that he knows that you love him like you say you do? I don't care about the mistakes that I make. Trust me, I make them every day. I'm not perfect. But one thing I know is that even when I make a mistake, I can turn to God and say, you know what, God, I was wrong, and I know I didn't listen, and I know you told me to do X, Y, Z, but can I be forgiven? Over and over again. Because with every forgiveness is another step closer to being a better person.
Whew, all right. First of all, you got that fire. Let me just say that. So I'm so grateful for your transparency. One of the things that you mentioned that's so key and so vital to prayer, aka that conversation with God, with the life force, is the listening part. Because too often we talk a lot, but we don't listen. And I am a recovering non-listener. I'm in recovery in a lot of areas of my life. So you might hear that a lot. And one of the areas is listening. Oftentimes we have so much to say or so much to ask for, but we don't stop and take that time to actually listen, to receive the answer, to receive the feedback. What was it like to actually sit in silence and receive that answer, but also to know, especially when you're in communication with the divine, to know that it is God speaking back to you? What is that process, or how do you know when God is actually answering a prayer?
I know when God is answering a prayer when it doesn't go the way that I thought it would.
Wait, we got to take a moment for that. That's so true. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's been so many times that I said, God, I'm looking for this, and I need it to look like this, and package it this way. So when it's packaged that way, I know it's you. And we do that. We look for things to be specifically to what we see, forgetting that our vision and God's vision is two different visions. And a lot of times, if we would stop, as you said, the process, I had to learn how to stop and be still. Like it says in the word, be still and know that he's God. It doesn't say, be still, listen to what Christina wants to do, follow what Christina wants to do, and then know that it's God. That's not what it says. Be still and know that it's God. And I had to learn how to be still. So the process for me is first and foremost, of course, the conversation with God, right? And then I have to be still. Just stop. You cannot force what's already yours. Stop. And when you realize that small teddy bear that you were holding on, I don't know if you ever seen those memes where they had the little teddy bear and God's got the big one behind his back. Like, if you give me that small one, I got a big one back here for you. Because we think the little teddy bear is good enough.
Yes.
And God is like, but you're my child. How in the world could that be good enough for you when I own everything? And so my answer prayers always come when it didn't come the way that I expected it to come.
That's good. That's good. And it's so important for us to recognize that oftentimes we live our lives through this lens or through this perspective of what we've already seen, not understanding that there's so much that we do not currently see and so much that is yet to be seen. So having that perspective, and I'm a firm believer in breaking things down. I am a teacher at heart. So I want to get into actually getting to the point of going to God itself. Just that step. One of the major things you said was listening, taking time to stop, be still, and to hear feedback, to receive the answer. The other thing is changing our perspective on what things should look like and what that answer should look like, because we get in our own way when we expect things or the answer to be one thing and the answer is comes in this different package and it's in our face. But if our perspective, if our vision isn't clear enough, we won't see it. And I think so many of us are getting answers to our prayers, but we just don't hear it. We got to fine tune our frequency. We got to really clean out our vision and our perspective to understand what that answer is. So going back to this idea of going to God, for me, it got to the point where it was like, all right, I did everything I thought I was supposed to do, and it wasn't working. And oftentimes that's how we come to God. And I'm sure people, go to the divine in different ways. But what is that process like of actually starting the prayer itself, especially for people who may not necessarily feel like there is a God or there is a spirit world that is among us? Then there's other people who do believe, but they feel like they have to clean themselves up before they can have this conversation. What is that process like of actually, I guess, humbling yourself within your heart, positioning yourself for prayer?
I believe the process starts at first paying attention to who you're having conversation with. A lot of times we go to our friends or even our family, we have conversation with them about the things that we're going through, and we expect them to give us insight, answers, opinions, whatever the case may be, and we feed off of those conversations. And so if you would take a moment to think about the conversations that you're having with people and think about how limited they are in their resources. Somebody can give you XYZ, but you need A to Z because you're a mess. You know what I mean? So XYZ doesn't work when you need A to Z. So when you're having these conversations with people, think about their limited resources. It doesn't mean their resources aren't good. It doesn't mean they don't have good intentions for you. But think about the limited resources that they have. They only have limited vision. As big as it may be, it's a limited vision, limited words, limited hands. And so if you would take those conversations and transition them to a higher power that is omnipotent, that is omnipresent, that is always readily available, that's where the change comes in.
That's good.
And I would tell, I had mentees at one point, and I would tell them, they said, how did you become this person? I started having less conversation with men and more conversation with God. Because the more conversation I have with men, you're limited. Love you, but you're limited. I need an unlimited resource. He got big plans for me. Because if he didn't want me here, I wouldn't be here. So I think it's the transition of the conversation. Go from the limited to the unlimited resource. Same conversation. And that's one of the things I talk about with relationship. Some people think you got to come to God with some holy words and you got to get on your knees and be this specific type of person. And like you said, you got to be clean. No, I don't. God wants me just the way I am. He can't use me if I'm all full of myself and thinking that I got it all together, because then I'm not open to receive whatever he got for me.
And
let me be broken.
On top of that, that is the way you do get your cup to overflow.
Correct.
Is recognizing that I am not perfect, but you can become perfected through prayer, through meditation, through relationship with God. I'm so happy. I'm pacing myself right now. I'm so happy you're saying these things, because I feel like we get to this space in our adulthood where we expect to know everything. And one of the primary things that you said was changing the source of your answers, changing the source of your conversations, because we are speaking with people. We have that person that we go to for multiple reasons. That's a whole nother conversation, because you know who to go to with what.
Correct. I can't talk to everybody everything, because you might give me the wrong answer. I kind of don't want to hear what you got.
And not only that, oftentimes we go to people that we know are going to agree with us or give us the answer that we want to give,
not to
receive.
You.
Go ahead.
But let me tell you something. If anybody is listening to anything we say here today, stop having yes men in your life. Stop. It is unhealthy. It is not good for you. And if the people in your life agree to everything that you do and you say, something is wrong. Because someone who really cares about you knows that it's okay to disagree. They know that it's okay to tell you, nah, that may not be the best option. They may not even know what it is to tell you, but they're good enough, they love you enough and care enough to say, I don't know about that one. Stop having yes men in your life, because what you said is so true. People will go to people just for the yes.
Yes.
And sometimes the answer and the level up is in the no.
Yes, it's so important for us to be transparent and be honest with ourselves. And I got to a space in my life where I started to go to the people who I know would tell me what they truly think, regardless of the topic at hand. And then to just even level up from that, I started to realize that the people I would go to would never answer when I'm like in panic mode. And in those moments, it's like, see, you need to pray. You need to meditate. You need to go to a higher source. The person who has all of the resources, all of the answers, who knows the beginning from the end. Oh my goodness, if you are just tuning in, this is Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. We are speaking to Christina Danielle about divine conversations. Yes, so necessary, so vital for us to get from point A to point Z and to infinity and beyond, I must say. So we get to a posture of where we go to God, go to the AKA life force with this question, with this thought, with this hurt, with this thing that we need answers on. We allow ourselves to speak our truth, regardless of what that sounds like. We sit still and we listen. We receive the answer. And then we check our resource. We check who the answer is coming from. Speak to us a little bit about confirmations. When you speak something in secret and then it's revealed to you in the light, how has that process been for you? Because I always call them breadcrumbs, like Hansel and Gretel. I'm just seeing them just leading me in the way I should go. What has that been like for you, and how could you put into words what that may look like to other people?
I believe, wow, this is deep. Confirmation. Well, for one thing, what I was showing Tashima in the beginning, if you were listening when she talked about the 1 minute meditation, on my way here, I did a post on my Instagram, and I was just like, okay, God, it's time. Like, it's time. This has got to make it happen. And then she did her 1 minute motivation, and it was totally in line because she talked about stop procrastinating. That's a confirmation from God. When you have already spoke to God about something, and then it shows up again. And a lot of times it'll show up in threes, actually. You'll see it 3 times.
Wow.
You will see it 3 times. So if you see something 3 times, that is a definite confirmation from God. And that's something you want to pay attention to. And please understand that sometimes it can get uncomfortable. It ain't always going to be roses and rainbows.
Yes.
But it's a confirmation. So just saying, you might be in a relationship and you just like, I want it to work for God. You know, I really want this. And then God shows you 3 times that ain't the one. And then later on down the line, something go wrong. You're like, well, he kind of did tell me. Yeah, it came up.
3 warnings.
3 warnings. Pay attention. If you see it 3 times, that is God confirming it for you. And after a while, you will know.
Yes.
If your heart is open, and your eyes are willing, you will know. But 3 times. Just if you don't forget anything else, if you see it 3 times, it's a confirmation.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We got into the after effect of prayer and meditation. You mentioned receiving an answer that we may not necessarily want to receive. And I think that's the thing that can even cause a bit of seemingly separation from people with God after prayer, because sometimes we don't really want to hear the truth. And that can be a little daunting at times. So how do we take that answer that we receive once we get that, those 3 confirmations? And even one, I have learned, Oprah always says this thing about God will send a pebble and it can amount to a brick. So it's like, receive it at the pebble. Don't wait for the brick. So I'm learning to just receive that pebble. So if it's not 3 times, but you know that it's an answer, how do we then move forward with that answer and applying it to our lives?
Once you get that confirmation, that answer from God, I believe that the best way to apply it to your life is to don't overthink it. I think we get the answer from God and then we question it. Even though it's confirmed, we question the confirmation. Like, God, are you sure this is it?
It's like that fleece. Well, make this thing dry on one side.
You know what I'm saying? Like, are you sure that you're sure? And then he'll confirm me, like, wait, let me just make sure though. Like, I know you said it was going, and I think God is very simple. We make it complicated. Simple. So if we just don't overthink it, whatever that confirmation is, go with it. And again, it may be uncomfortable. It may not be anything that you thought it would be. It may not even be what you wanted. But we all know that, or we should know, that what you want and what you need are most times two different things.
Yes. They
completely different things. Because you want the purple coat, but God said, I need you to have the blue. Because if you're in the blue coat, then the person that I sent to bless you is going to recognize you by the blue coat. But if you're in the purple coat, you are unrecognizable and you cannot be blessed.
Ooh, let's just take a breather. Let's just take a selah on that. It is so true. And I feel like this, decision making, that's been part of like my recent prayer and discernment and knowing how to separate the voice of God from my voice even, or the voice of this world, whatever the case may be. And oftentimes the answer that we receive may not either A, be what we want, or B, be what we expect. And either way, when you receive that answer, you have to apply it because, as Travis Green said, all things are working for
everything.
Your good. Everything. And that's the thing that I am choosing to move forward with when it comes to answer prayer that doesn't necessarily look like what I would have wanted or expected for it to be, is that, yes, this is the answer. And regardless of what it looks like, I have to know that by me applying this to my life, it's going to work out for our good. And that's something that we have to hold on to. We have to really understand that we can't lean on our own understanding.
Correct.
Correct. And when we get to that space where it's like, okay, I'm at this fork in the road. I prayed. I know this is the answer. Moving forward has to be, I guess, simply this act of obedience and finding joy in acting out on faith versus the results of what we do, because that's a whole nother conversation. Because oftentimes the road doesn't look like what we expected for it to be, and it's like, wait a minute, I prayed, I received the answer, I acted out on faith, but this is what I'm getting, like,
yes, absolutely.
So taking that reality and trusting that as long as you are in that space, as long as you're in that blue coat or that purple coat, you have to understand that the results are going to be more than you expect and work out better for you. It's so, I'm just like, I'm in awe of this conversation. The fact, how we even met each other is just amazing to me. And Life Club, that's really what this is. It's truly a divine show. It's like, this is like my life. And I just appreciate you being here. I appreciate this conversation. And I feel like one of the most important things about prayer is that transparency, it's that truth, and it's a letting go of fear, letting go of what we don't know, letting go of the doubt, because it's okay to question God, but the doubt is what hinders us. And there's a difference. Doubt is disbelief.
Correct.
Questioning is seeking wisdom.
Correct.
And that is what prayer is. Oh,
that's actually a prayer that if you're just starting out in learning how to pray, my suggestion is always to pray for wisdom. Pray for wisdom.
Yes.
How can I make better decisions? How can I seek you more? How can I understand you? How can I know who you are? The knowing. How can I do that? Pray for wisdom. Wisdom is the best thing that you can pray for. The absolute best thing that you can pray for. And it's a simple prayer. God, and I like to break it down to, like, baby steps.
Yes.
Like you said, for people who may not believe or may not ever prayed in their life, how do they get started? Hey, God, or Big G, or, you know what I mean? Because some people are uncomfortable with that.
100%.
Let's just be honest.
100%.
Hey, higher power. So I need some wisdom. I'm not really sure how to do this. Show me how. Something as simple as show me how can make such an impact on one's life. Just saying, show me how. Because he's ready.
Mm-hmm.
He's just waiting for you to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care what you did yesterday. He doesn't care what you did 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are the person he's looking for a purpose. Because we all have one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what it was. And that's my biggest thing with prayer is for people to understand that God loves you for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why that relationship is so important. Because a lot of us are out here seeking love from people who don't even like themselves.
Mm-hmm.
How dare I seek love from somebody who doesn't even like themselves when God's got all the love for me, regardless of how messed up, disgusting, and busted I may be.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
I'm just
I mean, that's
like, forgive me. Because I have to just be real. That's the only way I can be. And my recent prayer has been discernment, has been decision making, has been where do I go from here? I look back and a lot of my prayer was low key based in fear. And a lot of me receiving an answer from God was being afraid of what would happen if I didn't do it versus knowing that this is for my good. And you get to this space in life where you realize that there's nowhere else to turn but to prayer. Especially for anyone who finds themselves feeling isolated, feeling alone, feeling like, oh, I can't call this person or I can't call that person, or even the person who is the person that everybody else calls. And it's like, well, who do I talk to? I'm just recognizing that the simplest prayer, show me how, will get you so much further than you overthinking, than you analyzing, than you calling, 82 people, texting 10 of them and trying to figure things out. You have to understand that you are never alone. And I hate to sound cliche, but your answer is literally one prayer away.
Always.
Literally. So one of the things I wanted to tackle was, and I just had it in my mind. Oh my goodness. We talked about what do you do after prayer? We talked about how to apply those things to your life. What do you suggest our listeners do when they find themselves at that fork in the road and they've prayed and then they don't hear anything?
So my spirit is telling me I have to say something in regards to what you just said prior to that question. So please remind me exactly of that question. But my spirit is leading me to say something. And for anyone who's listening, I want you to know, I know what it feels like to feel alone. I know what it's like to be raised in the church and have a be raised in the church and not have a relationship with God, because all you were doing was being raised in the church and nobody really taught you about relationship. I know what it feels like to turn to your left and your right and no one is there. Many people around, but no one is there. And I want you to know that God hears you. He sees you. And he's telling me to tell you that, I don't know who this is for because it is so strong, but whatever it is that you think is not for you is for you. And he's saying that your prayer needs to be, God, put people in my life who get me and who understand me and who are not against me. Put the right people in my life, because a lot of times we don't have the right people in our lives. Put the right people in my life. Surround me with people who will help me to elevate. Surround me with people who will help me to break out of this depression. Depression is a real thing. I've suffered from it. And whoever is going through that depression right now, whether it be minute or major, I pray that the Spirit would touch you right now and break that off of you. And we rebuke that. Because you don't deserve to be depressed. You ain't got nothing to be depressed about. Ain't nobody better than you. And God's got you. I just have to say that.
Amen. And I'm happy you mentioned this. I'm happy you mentioned depression. I think so many people suffer in silence from depression. So many people don't even understand that they are depressed. And then when you speak about things like depression, pairing it with God, with the life force, with spirit, I think so many people separate the two, not understanding that they go together.
Depression is a spirit.
And when I speak about meditation, you have to think about medication. And I see like these two parallel universes like in my mind, recognizing that everything that is man-made or manifest is usually something that is pulled from the spirit world. So medication, pills, and all these other things, things of that nature, don't heal you like meditation does. It's just a man-made version of the truth, of reality. I'm super big on the etymology of words and the deeper root words that are associated with these things. You have to understand that we are made in love. There's like scientific evidence of light being on the inside of us, how we respond to hurt and pain versus how we respond to love. Like we are genuinely made in love, and to experience certain things like depression and anxiety, things of that nature, you have to understand that those things are spiritual, because anything that a doctor or a therapist is working on, and I'm a firm believer in therapy, but anything that they are working on is all symptoms. You can't see depression in the body.
Correct.
It's invisible.
Correct.
It's spirit.
It's a spirit.
You can't pinpoint anxiety. You can see how the physical body reacts to those things, but you can't pinpoint those things naturally. So understanding the power of prayer, understanding the power of our words, understanding the power of meditation is so key and so vital to literally like our life. Our life. You know, I went to God in prayer about financial things, and God done dug up a whole bunch of other stuff.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Dug up a whole bunch of other stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I hear you, I feel you. But understanding that all of those things are linked together. Your bag is linked to your mental health, is linked to your physical health, is linked to your spiritual health.
Yes.
That house, that spouse, all of those things are linked to what's going on the inside of you.
Correct.
And people don't really understand that. People don't understand that the invisible self, the inner being, is just manifesting your natural environment. So if you want your life to change, you have to allow your inner being to be changed.
Correct.
Girl.
Correct. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I was telling them that perception is a choice. Perception is a choice. And they were saying to me that, well, you know, they think that perception is not a choice because they feel that, you know, it's based upon your past and what you've been through. And we had this brief, I was actually listening to your conversation earlier, and I said, no, because I've been through very traumatic things that I didn't know were traumatic until I became an adult. And when I was mature enough to realize that it was traumatic, I realized that I have now a choice to either look at it and say, I'm going to continue to be hurt, or I'm going to heal. It is how you look at the situation. It is how you look at what you've been through. You have a choice. Just like, you know, think about, you know, like I said, I was from Brooklyn. And one of the things, and you were talking about, you know, how do I deal with, or how would I suggest for people who pray and they feel like they're not getting any answers from God? And again, that is a spirit. That is an evil spirit that is trying to block you from understanding God. Because they're saying to you, oh, look, you've been talking to God about this. Ain't nothing changed. Oh, look, you've been praying for this. Ain't nothing happened. You've been asking for the breakthrough. It ain't there yet. I don't think he's listening to you. I don't think he cares. I know that that's the spirit, because the spirit came to me when I was going through my stuff. And then I had to get real Brooklyn on the spirit and say, let me tell you something. What's for me is for me. When I make a decision that I'm going to get something, I'm going to get what's mine, because God already said it's mine, so you can't take what's mine. You ain't going to let nobody come up in your face. We're mothers. Ain't nobody coming to you and touching your baby. Ain't nobody stepping to you and saying, oh, I'm coming at you. I'm about to take everything from you. I'm taking your earrings, your shoe. It ain't going down like that. So how dare us let the spirit, the evil spirit that he is, because remember, the enemy ain't got no power. Tricks, trades, but he ain't got no power. How dare I allow you to come into my space that I worked so hard for? How dare I allow you to come and take away all of the time that I've put into talking to God and praying for my change, and allow you to come and transition my mental state? So when you're thinking that God is not answering your prayers, it ain't that God ain't answering your prayers. The enemy is trying to get you to give up. And don't you dare give up on the thing that you've been praying for. Don't you dare give up on the thing that you've been fighting for. Don't you dare give up on that. You ever seen, was it you that I was speaking to the other day? Were you talking about the farmer?
I was going to tell you, this morning I woke up to a pepper. I planted the seed 2 years ago. And I woke up praying like, God, search my heart. Is there anything in me that does not belong? Will I ever be full? All of these things. And I literally passed by my plant and I looked. I broke down crying because I was like, all I did was continue to water that plant regardless of what I saw. And it's like a full pepper. And I'm like, when did this even happen? But that is so perfect. And it's so perfect to when you pray, but you don't necessarily see the thing manifesting it automatically, is keep watering your plants. We're going to have to wrap up, but I want to get your contact information, share it with all of our listeners. You got to come back. I'm just letting you know it's got to be a part 2. The sequel will be coming.
Yes, ma'am.
Let everybody know where they can find you so they can stay connected. We have to come, like you're coming back, just to let you know. Where can everybody find you?
I got you, girl. You can find me on Instagram. It is 3_123 Christina Danielle. Very simple. Or on Facebook is Christina Stewart. Simple.
Yes, and we have to, like I said, you got to come back because I want to get more information about Did You Pray and just everything. But I truly believe that this was a divine conversation that we had today. We low-key had Wally in the building today. Where can everybody find you? He was in the background.
You can find me on Instagram at YVMag. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And I am Tashima Jones. This has been Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. And you can find me at tashimajones.com. All of my social media and contact information can be found there. Until next time, remember your greatness. Talk soon. I am Tashima Jones, and you've been listening to Life Club. Thank you for tuning in.